thought it was over. They thought a shallow grave under the widow's oak would silence her forever. But the dead do not forget. The dead do not forgive, and the mist carries their whispers back to those who betrayed them. It had been 3 days since Eleanor Wolf's murder, and Wolf's Hollow had not seen the sun since. The mist was thick, rolling between the crooked cottages, swallowing the lantern light, pressing against the windows with icy fingers. Children who once played in the muddy streets now watched the forest with wide, fearful eyes, clutching their mothers' skirts when the wind howled through the chimneys. Dogs whined and scratched at doors, refusing to go out even when called. And the widow's oak stood, dark and ancient, as if it were waiting. Thomas Hale could not sleep. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw Eleanor's face. Her pale skin, the dark blood staining her wedding dress, the betrayal in her eyes as he pressed the dagger into her chest. He told himself it had to be done, that her family's land would secure his future. But when he woke each morning, the cold sweat on his skin whispered that he had made a mistake that would never leave him. On the 4th night, as the mist grew even thicker, there came a tapping at Thomas's window. Tap, tap, tap. He lay frozen in his bed, the blankets pulled up to his chin, breath shallow as he listened. Tap, tap. And then a voice, so soft, so cold, it seemed to come from everywhere at once. Thomas. His name spoken like a sigh. Thomas. He squeezed his eyes shut, whispering prayers he had not spoken since childhood. When he opened his eyes, the tapping had stopped. But in the fog outside, he saw her, Eleanor. Her pale face pressed against the glass, her dark hair hanging in wet strands around her shoulders, her wedding dress torn and stained with blood. Her black eyes stared into his, and then she was gone. Thomas screamed, falling from his bed, crawling backward until his back hit the wall. He covered his face with his hands, shaking, rocking back and forth. "It's not real," he whispered to himself. "It's not real." But outside, the fog pressed closer, and the whispers began again. In the village, others were beginning to see her too. Old Mrs. Holloway claimed she saw a woman in white, standing at the edge of the forest, her hands reaching out, her mouth moving as if in prayer. Children told their mothers of the lady in the mist who called for Thomas, her voice like the wind through dead leaves. And at the well, Abram and Silas could not meet Thomas's eyes. "She's back," Abram whispered, his voice hoarse. "She's come for us." Silas shook his head, tears in his eyes. "I hear her at night. She stands outside my window. I see the blood on her dress. I see her eyes." Thomas grabbed Silas by the coat, pulling him close. "Shut up! Shut up, both of you. You're just scared." But as he turned away, he felt it. The cold, the eyes watching from the mist, and the soft whisper almost too soft to hear. "Thomas?" That night, Thomas tried to drink himself to sleep, but the whispers came anyway. "Thomas? Thomas?" He covered his ears, but it did not stop. At midnight, there was a knock at his door, slow, deliberate. Thomas froze, the bottle slipping from his hand and shattering on the floor. Another knock, and then her voice. "Thomas?" He stumbled to the door, pressing his back against it, tears streaming down his face. "Please," he whispered, "please leave me alone." But the knocking continued, until suddenly it stopped. Thomas waited, breathless. He opened the door a crack. The mist rolled in, cold and damp, and there, standing in the fog, was Eleanor. Her white dress was torn, the lace stained dark with blood. Her hair clung to her face, and her black eyes were empty voids that stared into him, seeing everything. "Thomas," she whispered. Thomas screamed, slamming the door shut, locking it, pushing a chair against the handle as if it would keep her out. But outside, the whispers continued. "Thomas," until dawn. When the sun finally rose, Thomas found footprints in the mud outside his door. Small, bare footprints, leading away into the forest, toward the widow's oak. Desperate, Thomas ran to the church, demanding the priest bless the ground, to pray for forgiveness, to stop the whispers. The priest looked at him with fear, crossing himself as Thomas fell to his knees. "She's dead," Thomas shouted. "Why won't she leave me alone?" The priest whispered, "The dead do not rest when they are betrayed." Thomas fled the church, the whispers following him, echoing in the wind. Thomas, that night, the village awoke to the sound of screams. Abram was found dead outside his cottage, his eyes wide, mouth frozen in a silent scream, his hands clawing at the earth as if he had tried to crawl away from something only he could see. And on the wall, written in what looked like blood, was a single word: Thomas. The villagers gathered, fear twisting their faces, as they whispered of the curse of the widow's oak, of the bride who would not rest, of the whispers that came in the mist. Silas approached Thomas, his eyes wild. "She's killing us, Thomas. She's killing us because of what we did." Thomas grabbed him, shaking him. "We buried her. She's dead," Silas sobbed. "She's not dead. She's here. She's here in the mist." At night, the mist rolled thicker than ever before, swallowing the village, muffling the sound of the dogs barking, the cries of the frightened children. Thomas sat in his home, every lantern lit, the light flickering, shadows dancing on the walls. He held the dagger in his hands, the same dagger that had killed her. And outside, the whispers came again. Thomas, Thomas, Thomas. The door creaked open, though he had locked it, and the fog rolled in, cold and damp, carrying with it the scent of earth and blood. And she was there, Eleanor, her eyes empty, tears of blood streaking down her pale cheeks. She raised her hand, pointing at him. Thomas? Thomas fell to his knees, dropping the dagger, sobbing. Please, he whispered. Please, I'm sorry. But the whispers only grew louder, and the mist closed in. As the mist suffocates Wolf's Hollow, the villagers realize the ghost bride's vengeance has only begun. The blood moon rises, and the real haunting will begin under its light. Chapter 3, upload tomorrow.